Have you ever seen two routines back to back who have a lot of the same steps in them, but one scores way higher than the other, and you're like, wait, I don't even understand. Shouldn't they have gotten the same thing? Hello and welcome back to Dance Colleges and Careers. I'm your host, Brittany Noltimier, and this is episode number 56, What the Judges Really Mean, Part 2. Technique Talk Decoded. Have you ever listened to your dancers' critiques or feedback from dance competitions and thought, what the heck does that mean? Today we have 5 things we're going to talk about and help you understand that dance judge jargon. The first one is actually pretty simple. This is arms in front of the body. Now, if you just hear this feedback over the critique, it might not come across correctly because you have to remember that judges have to speak in almost like a shorthand. You know how doctors have a shorthand? Judges have to have the same thing as well because they have the 2.5 minutes or as long as your routine is to make sure they can give you all the feedback you need and deserve. In ballet particularly, when our arms go out in second position, that's what it's called when our arms go out to our sides, we want them to be in front of our body so that we can actually see our fingertips with our peripherals. If they're behind the body, now we no longer have control over our arms. And if your child has really flexible shoulders, this is a very common thing that happens. And so what we're working on in dance class is learning how to strengthen our back to be able to hold our arms and put them in the right positions. So if our arms are behind our body or way straight out to the side like a scarecrow, then we cannot engage our muscles to support our arms, and they're just kind of out there flinging, hoping they hit the positions we want them to hit. So if you hear arms in front of your body, it means we want to be able to see them in our peripherals in that second position and again in that high fifth position. Because as soon as they go here, sure, you might be able to do that because you have flexible shoulders, but there's not longevity in this position. And if I were to turn sideways, that's not what we're looking for here. That's not what we want. We want those arms in front of our body, arms in front. And that way, we're engaging the correct muscles and showing off the best technique possible. Next is more use of the torso. Okay, this is a way more advanced critique. Until about age 11, we don't have as much movement in the torso. If you do, awesome. But after age 11, we do really expect to see a little bit more because now it's not just about the arms and the feet and the placement. It is connecting the entire body and moving through the body, through the torso. You'll probably hear a lot of times, I'd like to see more undulation through the spine, meaning waves, where we're really moving through each vertebrae. So it's not like chunk, flat back, up, but we really can move through the body and have more control over what we're doing. It also makes it a little bit more advanced because it's not just straight lines, and that's when we can start to work more off-centeredness, but you have to learn how to engage your core so that if we come off our center, we know how to come back onto our center and we're not just falling over. So that's why it makes it more advanced in the movement, but it does also make it more interesting so we're not just dancing like robots and the head never moves and this shape right here never comes off like we have a hanger in our back. Again, that scarecrow position. We don't want to dance like a scarecrow. We want to move through the body and create interesting movement. Last week we talked about the feet a little bit, but today we're going to talk about sickled feet. So if you hear, let's make sure we're not sickling our feet. When a dancer sickles their foot, could mean that they're pointing so hard, I'm being straight here, they're pointing so hard that it starts to curve the foot in. And then when it goes in, this is called a sickle. Now, this happens a lot if you have extremely flexible ankles or really flexible feet. It actually is a safety issue because think, if you stretch your feet so much like this and you go up for a jump, when you land, you're going to, trying to get straight here. If your foot's here, you're going to land like this. And then that's how we hurt this ankle, by we sprain it, or we can break it if we're not landing straight up and down, but we're landing here. Understand? So that's why we might get that quick feedback of, okay, make sure we're not sickling the feet. but that's actually kind of a big issue. So if you are somebody who sickles the feet, pull out your TheraBand right now, even while you're listening. All these videos, if you are a podcast listener, pull out your TheraBand and do something for you while you're listening. If our foot is straight, if we're stretching through the foot, if we sickle it, that's when it comes this way. Like I said, that's when we can land this way and hurt the ankle. So you can do TheraBand exercises by keeping the foot in line, and then just make sure you don't overdo it and keep it, and don't let it hit this shape. See how it's starting to curve in? We want this to be straight here, and that's what needs to keep getting trained. All right? Another critique you might hear that it might sound like no big deal, but it actually can tell the judges a lot about what your technical score should be, is make sure your knees are over your toes in your plie. Okay, so a plie means to bend your knee, Plie means to bend. So when you're standing in a parallel position, feet hip width apart, and you bend the knees, if the knees come in and touch and buckle, that means that you're not engaging your core. You know how I talked about the core was from the thighs up through the rib cage? It means you're not using your inner thighs, you're not using your booty, and you're not using your belly, your abdominal muscles. So we want the knees to go over the toes in the parallel plie, because if we don't, that's a big area where we can take a lot of technical points off. Okay, because that means we are not working our glutes at all. And glutes, that meaning our booty. And in ballet class, we use our booty a lot of just learning how to control where the legs go from the hip sockets. Yeah, I know I'm getting into a lot about the body right now, but a simple one, if you're plieing and your knees are bending down and buckling, we want those knees to go right over the toes and come back up, keeping those legs in line. A lot of students or people do just have one knee that kind of goes more in or out than the other. And this, again, injury prevention, start getting aware of it now so you can fix it now. So you can start working on the rotation of the glute and engaging the thigh, engaging the legs, so that you don't have to always have the one knee that turns in, causing your back to twist and then needing to see a chiropractor and be injured for the rest of your life. You see how it all connects? Okay, finally, here's the fifth comment, and I'm really excited about this one because it's icky. It's an icky topic, and I've never talked about it on here before, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm excited to present this to you. Have you ever heard in your feedback, this dancer is not ready for this move? You make sure you master it in the studio before you put it on stage. That can be one of the worst things we can hear. Okay, but I am here to help you understand why. If you are given that feedback, it does not mean you're the worst dancer in the world. It does not mean that they think you can't do it. It does not mean that you don't have the potential to do it. It means that those judges are giving you feedback for what they see right now on this stage. So if they say that, it probably means they're rooting for you. They're like, come on. And then you throwing that trick is showing weaker and weaker technique where they are forced to give you a lower score. It does not mean that they're mad at you. It does not mean that they don't like you. It means that they're like, yes, oh, crap. Now I have to take off a couple points because we can see a lot of technical things in floats and isochron turns, okay? It's an advanced step. That's what it does. It allows you to not show your best self. Maybe sometimes you nail it, maybe sometimes you don't, but it is a hard step. Choreographers choreograph for different stages. There are routines choreographed for the competition stage, and there are routines choreographed for a performance stage. That might mean recitals, basketball games, that might mean parades, and that is all for the uneducated eye. I don't mean that offensively. I mean that is the eye who likes flash, and they are not looking for every single point deduction, because it's not their job. They're there to be entertained. It is the judge's job to find those point deductions. They don't want to. It stinks to be almost done with the routine and then go, oh, I have to take you down a couple points now because you were falling out of those turns for 4 counts of 8. You know what I mean? Okay, so A performance audience love to see that. They love wings, they love turns, they love to see you go on and on and on. Where on the competition stage, every time you do that, it opens up opportunity to lose points. And that's why when a judge gives you that advice, that's pretty good advice. That's pretty dang good advice to hear. I think we should take these out until we've mastered it, because all they're saying is, I wanted to score you higher, but now you're forcing me to take away some points because it shows off where our technical flaws are. And that is what makes the difference in our choreography. So some choreographers do an amazing job at hiding our flaws. I think I'll hear people talk about how they cheat, or they make really simple routines, or it's really only gestures. You know what? The competition stage is made to hide our flaws. It is made to compete, and it is not the performance level. So you gotta do what you gotta do to hold up in the competition level. If you have a lot of routines, sure, maybe put them in this routine over here or this one over here. But when it's solely in your solo, when it's completely your responsibility to bring the audience in and they are only looking at you and you're the only focus and there's no room for error, then that's why you might get that feedback there. But it does not mean that you shouldn't be working on it, or you can't do it, or you can't do it in a different routine, or you can't even do it in a group or a trio or something. Right now, in this routine, it made your score suffer. I'm sorry if I offended you with that, but that's the honest truth to hearing that feedback. Just because you hear that feedback doesn't mean it has to go, but it does mean you need to think about it differently. I don't encourage the thought of oh yeah, but I usually get it. I usually get it. I don't always fall out of it. That again is not going to help your scoring, because if we cannot do it in the studio, then you're not going to be able to do it at the end of a long day, when it's late or early in the morning, when you've already been dancing, when you're tired, when you're fatigued, when the nerves are high. We don't get naturally better with all those elements. We have adrenaline that can make some things better, but realistically, if we cannot succeed with it in the studio, it's not likely to succeed on the stage randomly. Okay, so that's what's coming from the judge's point of view. But then you have your teacher's point of view as well, which is really what is most important. Okay, you spend every day with them. They see you in your growth. And if they believe you're ready for it, great. Sometimes it's not just technical, but I've had some students who I see a specific movement brings them such joy that I'm why am I going to take away this one tiny thing that's probably not going to affect their score? And it brings them so much joy. So that's the checks and balances of all these elements, of all these factors. But know that for the competition stage, the choreography wants to be set up so that you can be successful with your scoring. So again, if you get that note, we're not ready for this move, I would take it out of the routine until they've mastered it in the studio. Don't take it so harshly, but also, if they're saying that, it's probably not a one-time mistake. Thanks for being here with me. I have a gift for you. You can go over to my website, BrittanyNoltimier.com/56, and I have a free cheat sheet for you there to help you understand what these judges are really saying. Until next time, be brave, tell your story, and own the stage.